Reading of the day. From the letter to the Hebrews. Brothers and sisters, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every burden and the sin that clings to us and run with perseverance the race that lies before us, keeping our eyes fixed on Jesus, the leader and perfecter of faith. For the sake of the joy that lay before him, he endured the cross, despising its shame, and has taken his seat at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you may not grow weary and lose heart. In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood. Gospel of the day. From the Gospel according to Mark. At that time, when Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and he stayed close to the sea. One of the synagogue leaders, named Jairus, came forward. Seeing him, he fell at his feet and pleaded earnestly with him, saying, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come, lay your hands on her, so that she may be saved and live." And Jesus went with him. A large crowd followed him and pressed upon him. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from bleeding for 12 years. She had endured much at the hands of many doctors and had spent all she had, yet she was not helped but rather grew worse. Having heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. She said to herself, "If I but touch his clothes, I shall be saved." Immediately, her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her affliction. Jesus, aware at once that power had gone out from him, turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" His disciples said to him, "You see how the crowd is pressing upon you, and yet you ask, 'Who touched me?'" But he looked around to see who had done it. The woman, frightened and trembling, aware of what had happened to her, came and fell before him and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has saved you. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction." While he was still speaking, people from the synagogue leader's house arrived and said, "Your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher any longer?" But Jesus, overhearing what was said, told the synagogue leader, "Do not be afraid, just have faith." He allowed no one to follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they arrived at the house of the synagogue leader, he saw a commotion, with people weeping and wailing loudly. He entered and said to them, "Why are you weeping and making a commotion? The child is not dead, but asleep." And they ridiculed him. But he put them all out, took the child's father and mother and those who were with him, and entered where the child was. He took the child by the hand and said to her, "Talitha koum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." Immediately, the girl arose and walked around. She was 12 years old. At this, they were utterly astonished. He gave them strict orders that no one should know this and told them to give her something to eat. Words of the Holy Father. Let us learn this. In the face of physical and spiritual suffering, the wounds of the soul, the burdens that weigh us down, and even sin, God does not keep his distance. He does not feel ashamed of us, nor does he judge us. On the contrary, he draws near to let himself be touched and to touch us, always raising us from death. He always takes us by the hand and says, "Daughter, son, arise." Cf. Mark 5 verse 41. Walk. Go forward. Lord, I am a sinner. Go forward. But you, Lord, are not a sinner. No, but I have endured all the consequences of sin to save you. This is beautiful. Let us keep in our hearts this image that Jesus gives you us. God is the one who takes you by the hand and lifts you up, the one who allows himself to be touched by your pain and touches you to heal you and give you life again. Today we celebrate Saint Joseph of Leonessa, a Capuchin friar known for his missionary zeal and dedication to the poor and the sick. Born in 1556 in Leonessa, Italy, he felt called to religious life from a young age and joined the Capuchins, standing out for his humility and spirit of sacrifice. He devoted himself fervently to preaching and assisting those in need, even facing great dangers. Sent on a mission to Constantinople, he attempted to evangelize enslaved Christians and even sought to convert the Sultan. For this, he was arrested and subjected to cruel tortures, miraculously surviving. Upon returning to Italy, he tirelessly continued his work of evangelization until his passing on February 4th, 1612. Those seeking intercession to face life's challenges with courage and faith turned to him. His prayer is an invocation for divine strength and mercy. O glorious Saint Joseph of Leonessa, example of ardent faith and tireless charity, obtain for us the grace to live our Christian mission with courage and devotion. You who suffered for the love of Christ, intercede for us so that we may face life's difficulties with the same strength and trust. Amen.
Thank you for listening to the Gospel and the Saint of the Day. If you wish to continue exploring spirituality and Christian history, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the upcoming videos. May the peace and blessing of the Lord be with you always.